think I calculated the other way around. I think we're already live. Not quite sure.
We'll find out.
Oh, we are live. I messed up the beginning. Okay, hallo und herzlich willkommen bei Whisky.de, dem Treffpunkt feiner Geister. Ja, das YouTube-System macht immer noch ein wenig Probleme, aber wir sind jetzt natürlich live. Gut, das Video heute wird auf Englisch stattfinden, denn mein Interviewpartner spricht nur Englisch und wir fangen jetzt auf Englisch an. So, hello. This is Alistair Stevenson. You're now 1 year with GlenAllachie.
Yep.
The whole time the distillery is in new hands, and you're 6 years with the whiskey industry.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into whiskey?
Yeah, I'd always had an interest in the Scotch whisky industry from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at university, I was doing a business degree. I actually focused my final project on the changing trends in the Scotch whisky industry and looking at the cyclical nature. So when I was doing that project, I was fortunate enough to set up with some interviews with some key figures in the industry, and one of them was Billy Walker. And following completing my degree at university, he was kind enough to offer me a job at Benriach Distillery. So I spent 6 years working with Benriach Distillery and then moved across to GlenAllachie at the start just last year.
Oh, nice. So how you connected with the GlenAllachie? I've heard something you are related. Is that true?
Yeah, no, that's true. So GlenAllachie Distillers Company was started last year when Billy Walker, Graham Stevenson and Tricia Savage acquired GlenAllachie Distillery from Pernod Ricard. So I'd actually spent about 6 years working with Billy and Trish at Benriach Distillery, and this is the first time I'm working with Graham, who's my dad, who was previously at Inverhouse Distillers.
So you're working with your dad?
Yeah, yeah.
So what your experience working with your dad?
Everything's gone fairly smoothly so far. Yeah, it's been a good journey so far.
It's been a good journey. Yeah, yeah. I can say the same with Horst. You know, he's kind of also co-head with me. I'm maybe, but you're not you're not a what do you call owner of the company yet?
No.
Are you going to inherit something?
I have no idea.
No, no idea.
Yeah, no, it's 3 owners just now. Billy, Graham, and Trish, and I'm very lucky to be part of the company.
Yeah, I'm in a 3-owner position as well. It's always a bit of a hassle to find common ground, but usually it works pretty good. So there's always a stereotype about working with your parents. Because so many people get into arguments with their parents, but I have to say I'm working quite well with my parents.
My experience has been absolutely fine so far. I think the bigger thing for us as a company is that it being an independent, Scottish-owned, Scottish-managed company really gives us the freedom to always focus on the quality of whisky and react to market trends and be quite agile in the industry. So we enjoy not having to answer to external shareholders. The 3 owners are Scotch whisky industry veterans. They love the industry. They've been in it, I think, 100 years between the 3 of them. So they are true whisky enthusiasts, and what we're bringing to the market now is for whisky enthusiasts.
Nice. So, falls Sie irgendwelche Fragen haben, gerne in den Chat schreiben, dann werde ich die Fragen alle stellen. So, wo ist denn meine Maus? Okay, so I'm just gonna ask my question first. So, sure. How did you experience the transition phase? Were there any hiccups or were there any problems?
There's always challenges, but there's been a lot of work for us to get to this stage. So obviously when we acquired the distillery, we had to do an awful lot of sampling and working out what we wanted to do with the stock. So in the acquisition, we acquired about 40,000 casks from Pernod Ricard, dating back to 1978 is the oldest vintage we have. So there's been a lot of analysing the quality of the stock, working out what direction we wanted to take the brand in, and also at the distillery in terms of the production we've had to make some changes. So the distillery is capable of producing 4 million litres of alcohol per year. Now Pernod Ricard, under their ownership, used the production at GlenAllachie more as an ingredient for their blended whiskies. So they'd use it for Clan Campbell, Chivas Regal, Ballantine's. Now, under our ownership, we really want to focus on developing GlenAllachie as a single malt brand. So our production requirements from the distillery are much lower than what Pernod Ricard's were.
Mm-hmm.
So we've cut production down to 800,000 litres of alcohol for this year. Now, obviously I mentioned that our requirements are less, but that also lets us run the production much more slowly and get a better understanding of the production and what makes GlenAllachie unique and what gives it its flavour profile.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of the changes by cutting production would be things like we're now mashing 4 times per week.
Mm-hmm.
So we mash Monday through Thursday. We clean the distillery on a Friday and we shut down completely at the weekend. So by mashing fewer times per week, it lets us have a much longer fermentation time. So we're now fermenting for over 120 hours each time. There's always...
I'm trying to remember. I did the take. I think you were next to me when we did the take with the fermentation. Yeah, it was incredibly long.
Yeah, very long fermentation time.
Incredibly long.
But great for flavour development and
sure. And for yield, probably.
Yeah, of course. But even with the stainless steel wash bags we have much less risk of contamination. So we're quite confident at running long fermentation times. And as I said, it really helps the flavour development. One of the other challenges when we took over the distillery was that there was no filling station on site. So Pernod Ricard would have taken the production of the new make spirit from GlenAllachie and filled it to tankards and taken it away from the site and filled to casks at another site. We obviously wanted to have a facility at the distillery to fill directly to casks and also to allow us to do some re-racking of the stock.
Mm-hmm.
So we've put in a filling station very quickly after taking over.
Sure, necessary. So I have the first question from one of the viewers, Alexander S. How old is the distillery?
So the distillery was designed in 1967 and built in 1968. So it was actually designed by a guy called William Delm Evans, who designed 4 distilleries. So he designed Tullybarden, Jura, Macduff, and then eventually GlenAllachie Distillery. He was quite an interesting character. He was years ahead of his time in that he really thought about efficiency when he was designing GlenAllachie. So he designed the distillery to be gravity fed, which to think that somebody thought that way and had the foresight in 1968 to think about efficiency was quite remarkable. So there's a few unusual features in the distillery because of the gravity-fed design, such as we have horizontal condensers.
Okay, so we lost a few viewers. I think they are not all that quite fond that we're talking English.
I'm very sorry. My German is not great. Sorry.
Okay, so talking about the warehouse. You have a really big warehouse. Did you get hold of the stock already with everything?
No, so the warehouses we have on site, we currently have 16 warehouses and capacity to store 100,000 casks on site. Now, they aren't all owned by us, by GlenAllachie. So when Pernod Ricard owned the distillery, they don't like to store all of their stock at the one site. They like to spread their risk. So there's a lot of Aberlour stock, Glenlivet stock, and stock from other distilleries at GlenAllachie as well. And we would charge them rental space to store their stock at GlenAllachie. But so 16 warehouses, we have 12 racked warehouses, 2 palletized warehouses, and we've put in 2 dunnage warehouses since we took ownership.
I think we showed one of them in the videos, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think we did.
Yeah. So
the new dunnage warehouse,
exactly,
the new one where you...
Exactly. So dunnage is obviously a more traditional style of maturation, but for us it also gives us very easy access for sampling and keeping a close eye on some of our older vintage stock and wood finish stock. Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question from a viewer. Bad Lamb Born. I don't know what that name means, but what kind of cask maturation in distillery are you aiming for? Ex-sherry, ex-bourbon wine casks? So what are you putting in?
There's a combination for our new make spirit. We're currently filling about 60%, between 60 and 70% to first fill bourbon casks, about 20 to 30% to ex-sherry casks, and the remaining to ex-wine casks. But for most of our core range just now, the 10 and 12 would have initially been matured in first fill bourbon casks, and then we're working on re-racking quite a lot of stock to first fill Pedro Jimenez sherry, first fill Oloroso sherry, and virgin oak casks.
So does that mean you're kind of you want to change the product range in the future? Is that
no? We almost held back on releasing early because we wanted to make sure the stock and the product was exactly where we wanted it to be before we released to the market. So we're delighted with where the core range is, but we'll continue to re-rack to sherry casks and wine casks, and the core range will be our real focus. But in the future there will definitely be some interesting limited releases and single casks that we can look at.
Yeah, we had the, what was it, the 27 and the 20, what was it, 26 or 28?
Was that in the 50th anniversary release, or?
Yeah, we had the core range with the 4, but we also had 2 other special bottlings. So is that something we can expect in the future yearly, or how are you gonna?
Yeah, I think so. Billy Walker is master blender and so much experience in the Scotch whisky industry. He's also very well known for his expertise with the casks and wood management, and he's quite experimental. So there's a lot going on at GlenAllachie just now. Obviously you saw in the dunnage warehouses there were Muscatel, Marsala, Tawny Port, Virgin Oak, Madeira, rum casks. There's lots of exciting things that we can do, and I think we will definitely look to do some single casks and limited edition wood finishes in the relatively near future.
Okay, so which shapes are the still pots? Alexander asks.
Yeah, no worries. We have.
I think you should watch my video.
So we have 4 very large stills, very wide diameter. It's quite interesting. In the still house, we have each set of stills has a separate spirit safe as well. So we can actually run each set of stills independently. But yeah, I would say if you want to put a shape on it, you could say onion shaped. But
yeah, I would say
wider. Yeah,
it's a wide one.
Very wide diameter. Yeah,
not quite Irish, but still wide for a Scottish one.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So a comment. Michaelina, I absolutely love the Scottish accent.
I'm always trying to tone it down when I'm travelling so that everybody can understand. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the Scottish accent as well. If you go on the outback or you go, I don't know, you have someone who's mumbling, it becomes really tough. I lived in the West Midlands and I had a taxi driver from Scotland. And that was tough to talk to him.
I think even when I go to Speyside, sometimes it's difficult.
Oh yeah, some people from the outback. Your warehouse manager was a bit difficult for me. He was. I don't know. I got 70-80% of what he said, so I could follow the conversation and got most of the facts. But
he'll be delighted you mentioned him. He always wants to be mentioned in the interviews. So Lindsay, he'll be very happy.
Yeah, but he's a cool dude. He's cool. He's cool. He just had a stronger accent.
He's fantastic in the warehouses as well. His knowledge of the stock and exactly what we're doing is really incredible.
When talking to him, I realized that he was a professional.
Yeah.
You started the GlenAllachie. When we did the video, we were just before the start. Everything was ready, but ready to launch. Do you consider it as successful?
Absolutely, we're delighted so far. We launched at the start of July, and the reception we've had has been quite overwhelming. The reaction to the 4 bottlings that we did in the core range, so the 10-year-old cask strength, the 12, the 18 and the 25 has been really great. But I think now, as we're into September and we've got the really busy season ahead on the build up to Christmas, we'll have a really good idea exactly where we are come December. But
we had a bit of a I don't want to say bets going on, but we had a bit of a discussion. How big is GlenAllachie gonna be? And you look at the core range, that's a core range like all the other big distilleries, and they have production capabilities like the other big distilleries, and they have Scottish, they have good quality. You can actually see the quality with all the stuff you do with the whiskey, with the age statement and non-coloring and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
So and we got up to a pretty successful start. Excellent. So with the really big names, you're a bit below that, but I would say you're one of the medium to big players in the game.
Excellent. That's a great start for a new company. But
definitely.
As you said, I think a lot of that goes down to the ownership as well. That when we talk about age statements, natural colour, non-chill filtered, sort of our investment in wood management, because our 3 owners are involved in the business and are from a Scotch whisky industry background, they understand the steps that have to be taken, and we don't have any external pressures. We can always invest in making the product as good as it possibly can be.
Okay, so there's another question mark here. Let's see. Jason Whiskey Wise, will GlenAllachie be at the Whisky Show London in a couple of weeks?
Yes. Unfortunately, I won't be, but my colleague David Keir will be at the Whisky Show with GlenAllachie range in London. Yeah.
Alice is designer. I'm at GlenAllachie.
Is that
GlenAllachie right now, which is close to GlenAllachie. Could you talk to the visitor? Could you talk about the visitor experience a bit?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, where we're located in Speyside is a great location. It's just at the foot of Ben Rinnes, really stunning place for a whisky distillery. And we do definitely want to open our doors to the public. We're not quite set up for it yet, so we're working on opening a store and visitor centre in 2019. The idea is that we probably won't be set up to manage bus tours and big parties, but for whisky enthusiasts, we would do tours by booking and by appointment only. But we definitely want to open our doors to the public and share what a gem of a distillery we have to the consumers. Yeah.
Definitely. I've been there, and you showed me around, and I have to say, you still have to do a bit of like tour path or something like that. But it is possible. I've seen other distilleries which are also not quite laid out.
No, because definitely. I mean, there's been a huge amount of work going on at the distillery, and our real focus has been to make sure the production is all in order and to develop the core range, to develop the branding, the packaging, and get the whisky out to the market. But phase 2 will definitely be a visitor centre and developing a shop and things on site. Yeah.
Okay, let's have a
yeah, of course, yeah,
a wee bit of whiskey. I love that about you pour it.
Great, thanks.
I love that about the Scottish language, the wee bit.
A wee dram.
A wee dram. So that's kind of the question I had. up next as well from Alexander S. Will there be a peated malt too?
Yes, so we have, it's quite interesting. So we actually had our first peated distillation at the distillery in April this year. So in years to come, we will release a GlenAllachie peated single malt to the market.
So when was that?
GlenAllachie peated. Oh, when when the whiskey tells us it's ready. No, not yet.
Okay,
So,
no date yet.
no date yet. But for now, we actually, as part of the acquisition, acquired 2 blended brands as well. So we acquired McNair's blended Scotch whisky and White Heather blended Scotch whisky. Now, under Pernod Ricard's ownership, these were relatively successful brands in the 80s or so, but as they focused their efforts on Chivas Regal and Ballantine's Clan Campbell, they moved away from McNair's and White Heather. Now, we'd like to reinvent or relaunch these brands to the market at the really premium end, and to try and find a way to make blended whisky exciting and engaging to whisky enthusiasts again. So for McNair's, we plan in the next few months to release a range of peated blended malts under the name Lumreek. So the idea is that through the network that our owners have with their great experience in the whisky industry, they've managed to source some really top-end peated single malt. Now Billy will blend that with older GlenAllachie whisky and then finish it in casks that we select and mature it on site at GlenAllachie, and we'll release it to the market as a range of peated blended malts. So hopefully that will be quite exciting to the market. And the name Lumreek comes from the Scottish expression lang may your lum reek. So it's basically it basically means long may there be smoke in your chimney, which is the best way in Scotland to wish somebody success and happiness. So Lumreek is the name for McNair's.
Ah, okay, nice. So
yeah,
cheers.
Sláinte. Yeah, so the 12-year-old will be the real flagship of our range going forward.
Yeah, I've seen that the sales are the highest.
Yeah, so
but the 10 cask is also pretty strong.
Cask strength has been very popular in Germany. When I did my tasting tour a few weeks ago, it was very popular. But so the 12-year-old, we bottle at 46% alcohol. As we said, natural colour, non-chill filtered, matured initially in first fill bourbon casks. And then finished in a combination of first fill Pedro Jimenez sherry, Oloroso sherry, and virgin oak casks.
There was quite a discussion going on. How much sherry influence is there? I do say, yeah, it's a sherry whiskey. Yeah, most of the people were of the other impression that it was a little sherry influence.
It's not. This is not fully sherry matured, so there's.
It's finished, right?
Yeah, it's a finish. So, but we were delighted with the whiskey. It had such a fantastic start to its life in first fill bourbon casks, so a really great starting point for us to try and take it in a new direction. So, as I said, with Billy's expertise in using Pedro Jimenez sherry, Oloroso sherry, and virgin oak, we're delighted with where we got this whiskey to, and I think is that classic Speyside style, but it's definitely much. It's much oilier, it's much heavier, more robust than a standard Speyside.
I would call it intense.
Definitely.
It's just it's not intense as in burning or something like that, but you realize there's just flavor packed into it.
I think the complexity of it at 12 years old is great.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's packed with flavor, and that's what I love about whiskey. Packed with flavor, but it's still well rounded and not attacking.
Definitely.
Attacking on your tongue or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Foo Fighter, wo guckst du hin? Ich gucke nach den Fragen. So he says where I'm looking at. So this is where the questions come from. Will GlenAllachie be exploring using Missionara oak?
We have looked at it. It's something that I can't answer 100% at this time, but there's been discussions in the office about it, and I think Billy is quite keen to look at the possibility. Yeah,
I've been to Japan.
Yeah,
and difficult. It's difficult. I was looking around, asking all the distilleries, is there any way I can find a Missionara oak cooperage or tree or anything? And I've traveled to Hokkaido in the end.
Yeah.
And I found one tree at one museum. But the ones at Shishibu, they do have a cooperage.
Yeah.
And I've seen a cut down tree, and it's a horrible tree.
Yeah.
It's
hard to work with.
It's a twisted, and so I don't know if you have any offers for the cask, but I think they are pretty expensive.
Very expensive, but as I sort of mentioned before, wood management and quality of the whiskey is something that we are happy to invest in. We've spent a lot of money looking to always enhance the flavours. I think there is a strong possibility that we will work with that going forward.
I love the oriental flavors. Was kind of a mixture of spiciness, curry, pineapple, kind of that thing going on. I really love that.
I almost get quite big on the orchard fruits, but then I get a lot of cloves in it. I get a real hint of cloves, and on the finish, that white pepper spice that we spoke about last time, really noticeable white pepper. But yeah, great dram, great complexity, hints of the dark chocolate coming through as well.
Yeah, it really adds some spiciness, but it depends on which whiskey it's filled. You don't have some blank whiskey and say you can add that by...
As I said, the thing that really caught me by surprise with GlenAllachie was the richness and the weight of the whiskey, the oiliness, the real stick to your palate, which is quite unusual for a Speyside whiskey. So it's quite different.
Yeah, it's a bit strong for a Speyside whiskey.
Yeah, it is.
Speyside whiskey is more of a easy, fruity, but that's usually just the stereotype.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, there are so many different Speysides. Bad Lamborn, are there plans for limited editions to cash on the collector's market? There's one plan for a Whisky.de exclusive version that's coming up.
So sorry, talk me through that one again.
Is there a limited edition for the collector's market?
Yes, I mean all of the whiskies that we release, we do intend for people to drink and to taste, but there will be some limited editions coming out, and I would imagine in the future these could be quite collectible as well. But
probably,
yeah, we'll look to do some single casks later this year, and
I think the cask strength will be a bit of a collector's issue because there's the batch on the bottle, but I found some other batches on there written very, very small. Maybe not the 12-year-old, but the other ones.
So the 18 and the 25 are definitely limited releases. So the 18 years old this year will bottle about 6,000 bottles. So very limited. The 25 even more limited, and obviously the cask strength we bottle in batches. So we'll look to release batch 2 probably the end of this year.
Oh, end of this year already. Okay.
Yeah. The batch 1 has been very popular, so we're delighted.
Yeah, but I think that the 001 is going to be the one that's going to be really expensive in 20 years' time.
Yeah.
Okay. Alexander S. Is Germany a bench for this malt? I think he means benchmark, probably. Or a bench for this malt?
Germany is certainly a focus for us. It's a very important market for us. I'm always overwhelmed by the knowledge of production in Germany, or the knowledge of Scotch whisky, of the history of the production, but also the enthusiasm for Scotland in general. I find it fantastic.
Quite some nerds in Germany now.
Definitely, but yeah, I really enjoy talking with these guys, and as I said, the enthusiasm for our industry in general and for GlenAllachie so far has been great, and Germany will remain a priority for us going forward. Yeah,
the thing is with let's say the British or the United Kingdom is they always used to have the Scotch. It just always used to be there, and the German whiskey market just got into the whiskey Scotch industry when the single malt when it was on the rise. So we never really got that full cheap blend area of the 70s and 80s.
It's more from the late 90s, 2000 that it's grown quickly in Germany.
So about late 80s and
so late 90s and early 2000s when the single malt wave started. It's become...
So the German market started with the single malt market?
Germany is, definitely for single malts and the very premium end of the market. And
we do have the cheap stuff as well, and it sells better because it's just so cheap.
But I think for the likes of GlenAllachie in Germany, I think the consumers in the market really appreciate the bottling at higher strength, the natural colour, the non-chill filtered, the everything done naturally, even the cask strength. I think customers really enjoy us trying to recreate that experience of drinking straight from the warehouse.
Yeah. So, will GlenAllachie be at the Interwhisky Frankfurt in December? From Christian Schmitz.
Yes, I hope to see you there. I'll be at the show in December. So
you'll be there?
I'll be there.
I'll be probably not.
Maybe not.
There. No. It's selling time.
No, I think come December we'll have, of course, the core range, but there might be a few other expressions on the table as well by that stage. So something to look forward to, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm running out of questions. So is there anything new or anything you'd like to tell us?
No, just in general, it's been a fantastic start, and this is just the beginning of the GlenAllachie journey. So we've been incredibly excited to get our core range out to the market and to see the reaction. But there's a lot of product development work going on. Working on the visitor centre at the distillery, working on the McNairs, the White Heather blended brands, and as I said, it's very exciting times ahead for us as a company, and hopefully everybody joins the GlenAllachie journey and enjoys.
Yeah, we will definitely walk the journey with you.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm really glad to follow you on that one, because we're really glad it's a product that you can sell with definitely confidence that it is a good product. And I like the idea that I really like the idea that you're taking back the market from the big companies and just make it Scottish.
Yeah,
I really love that idea.
There's very few players in the industry today that are truly Scottish owned and Scottish managed. So it's a great win for the industry, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so I still got one question. Jörg, oh my God. Lejowski, sounds Eastern European. Who is responsible for the design?
So we worked as a team on that. So obviously our marketing team had a big say, but everybody, as a small company, we find that there's a lot of variety in everybody's roles. So in the company, we discuss these decisions together. So the idea behind the design work was that GlenAllachie, the name translates to Valley of the Rocks. So we explored this stone theme and actually worked with a letter cutting artist called Robbie Schneider, and he developed this font for us specifically. So this font is unique to us as a company, and he engraved that onto a piece of stone for us, and we've tried to recreate that engraving effect on the packaging. So he drew inspiration for the style of font from some of the Pictish stones that are located in the area near to the distillery. So there's 4 Pictish stones dating back to, I think, 1106, just a few miles from the distillery. And this is an old clan in Scotland who left their markings chiselled into stone. So we thought Valley of the Rocky Place and the Pictish theme tied in quite well with the GlenAllachie Distillers Company.
Do you know the name of the clan, or is that lost?
The Picts.
The Picts?
The Picts. P-I-C-T. Picts.
Okay,
Pictish.
Cool. Yeah, we had feedback as many people said, oh yeah, we love the design. Some people said, oh, it looks like a comic font.
I mean, the one thing I've maybe discovered in the last few months with design is that you can never please absolutely everybody.
No.
Some people love it, but I'm delighted that people are talking about it, and sometimes as an industry, maybe brands have played it safe for a very long time, and we've tried to be a little more innovative and a little more modern and move with the times and try to do something a little different. Yeah.
Okay, so I have no more questions. Oh wait, there's one. Do you already have some requests from independent bottlers? If yes, who?
I think independent bottlers are definitely interested in working with the brand. For us right now, it's not a focus. We definitely appreciate that independent bottlers are an important part of the Scotch whisky industry, and they can release some excellent whiskies. But as we now focus on GlenAllachie as a single malt brand, we want to really keep it under our control. So that means the quality of the whisky, the branding, the packaging, and with the resource that we currently have, all of our focus is going into our own brand. So,
okay. Yeah. So thank you very much for having the interview with me.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you very much for watching. Also Deutsch. Wir sind dann noch auf dem deutschen Video. Ja, vielen Dank fürs Zusehen. Wem es gefallen hat, gerne einen Daumen hoch. Und ja, bis zum nächsten Mal.